Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take on this Tuesday morning, and the selling has not stopped. Although today it's gotten a little bit improved, but when you go back to last Thursday and then to Friday, and then you get into yesterday, we were fortunate not to be down 1,000 points on the close. We actually got to that point, got off of that level, still finished down 876 points yesterday. Just an absolute brutal selling in the Dow itself, and the NASDAQ, no slouch either, down almost 5%, down about 530 points yesterday, and gave up that 11,000 level as well. So a lot of different things that people were looking at, talking about all the various selling. We also were down almost 4% for the S&P 500. Tells me that volatility index has probably been a little bit light. That being said, the VIX actually did get up towards that 34 level yesterday, and the VXN, that volatility index of the NASDAQ, that got back up and above 40 again. And it was there just a couple of weeks ago, call it middle of May. We had that week where it was 4 of the 5 days we actually did close over 40 for the VXN. But then we kind of came pulling all the way back. Well, we're back up towards that 40 level once again. Bitcoin was kind of the story of the day yesterday, and just how much pressure was on Bitcoin. And certainly that was an interesting thing. Remember, it hit 68,000 not that terribly long ago. Yes, we got into the 40,000s, the 30,000s. Yesterday, closer to 23,000. So it really has been under some huge pressure, down about 15%, as I say, and just an amazing amount of selling. Now, in terms of the volumes yesterday, 51.5 million contracts trading yesterday. So it was a very busy day. Should be a busy day on a day like yesterday, where you've got all this movement and specifically going to the downside, a lot of positioning, repositioning going on. And certainly 28 million of that 51.5 million was on the put side. So the puts definitely outweighed what we were seeing from the calls yesterday. Amazon, Apple, and Tesla, those were your leaders, and those are the leaders that actually were above the million contract mark. So a lot of things going on. By the way, I don't mention the Russell probably nearly enough, but you take a look at that Russell 2000 also. That was down nearly 5% yesterday, 4.8%. So there was nowhere to hide. You look at the 10-year and the 2-year, and that's something that I've been talking about now for a little while, and it just continues to be part of what I think has been driving the markets far more than any other of the catalysts. It seems like that 10-year and 2-year. Well, they had a pretty impressive run to the upside yesterday. Velocity has been part of the story there. Just that sharp move to the upside from both the 10-year and the 2-year, from where they were in the mid-2s all the way up to now, both of them sitting right around 3.3. 3.3, about 3.37 maybe yesterday for the 10-year, just a little bit in front of the 2-year, but no need to fight over that. Call it 3.3, and those guys were all knotted up. So yesterday, tough to find anything that was really moving into positive territory. Obviously, when you look at the S&P, you look at the Dow, and you look at the NASDAQ, all getting hammered, throw in the Russell, you know it's going to be tough to find much that's actually in positive territory. I can point out something like a McDonald's. Cisco was trying hard. Coke was trying hard. But let's be honest, it was just a lot of selling yesterday and across the board. And what was some of the major areas where we did see heavy selling? Well, it was in some of those casino type operators and some of those sports book types with Penn and Caesars, certainly part of that. We had the cruise ships as well with Carnival and Norwegian getting hammered pretty badly. Airlines as well with United and American getting a shot to the downside as well. Splunk, Datadog, DocuSign. DocuSign's been under pressure for many days. Boeing. Some of those financials as well with Goldman and JP Morgan and Bank of America and American Express all getting hit yesterday. So in a sector perspective, though, what really was the leader, believe it or not, despite the fact that we were still sitting very, very close with crude towards that 122 level, you look at energy, it was down 5% yesterday. So there are times where we see that happening, where it's made just an extraordinary run, feels like a little bit of a cooling period before the next extraordinary run. And we might be seeing that happening today. Energy was down about 5% yesterday. Consumer discretionary was down 4.5% yesterday. Technology, 4.5% yesterday. Staples down a little over 2% yesterday as well. Every single sector. Staples, by the way, at down 2.2%, was the best performing sector yesterday. That gives you an idea of just how bad things were and some of the major selling that we were seeing. So as we get into today, things looked a little bit different. People were starting to talk about what Steve Leisman was releasing yesterday. I was on that 5 o'clock show last night, CNBC Fast Money, talking about the possibility of 75 basis points, 3/4 of a point. Is that going to happen? Sounds like there's more of a reality to that than there was at least 24, 48 hours ago. That's for sure. So that's something that really gave the markets, I don't know if that was necessarily something that gave them a little bit of a push. I think what gave the markets a little bit of a push was we did hear some new earnings, Oracle specifically, and they were good. And it was probably shocking, I think, to a lot of folks out there. So that started the day off okay. Matter of fact, the Dow was up about 100 plus points, stayed up in that area until just before we came on. And as I got looking at Dow, it was down about 25. And then all of a sudden it was down about 50 points right before we came on in that first hour of trade. Same story for the NASDAQ. NASDAQ was up about 100 points, started giving it back. It was up 40, 50 points. And by the time we came on here, started to push into negative territory. Not in a big way, but down maybe 10 or 15 points. We'll see if that continues to persist. Obviously, crude 122 started to slide even a little bit higher, 123. 10-year, 2-year, they were pretty much unchanged. They were trading a little bit up, but not enough, just about 3.3 for both of those still. We'll continue to monitor that because that has been the trigger. And as I've said for a while now, the algorithms have definitely been on top of what's been going on with the 10s and the 2s. Specifically, it was the 10s, but now the 2s are a big part of it as well. Energy started off the day pretty strong, continues to get a little bit stronger, up about 2%. Industrial started off the day up nearly 1%. That has come back. Technology was up about 0.6%. That has come back. Financials were up nearly 0.5%. That has come back. So that's why we are seeing the markets that were up 100 plus points for the NASDAQ and the Dow suddenly starting to scale back a little bit. Where are the positives? Well, the positives today to land in a couple of different areas. I mentioned Oracle, great earnings last night. They talked about cloud. They talked about their revenue and some of the growth and some of the projections, all of which sounded very, very positive. FedEx raising their dividend seemed to give that a huge spark today. But the PPI number at a 10.8, well, that's something year over year growth that definitely makes the markets a little bit nervous. And I think that's been part of what we were sort of dealing with a little bit so far. But as we look, we did have a lot more into positive territory than we did yesterday. There's no doubt about that. Monster, Twitter, I throw in the FedEx and the Oracle, of course. We got those beta energy names as well. Those have been very strong. I apologize. I didn't turn off my phone. But the beta energies with Marathon Oil and Marathon Petroleum, and throw in a lot of the different names within that space, Oxy and PSX and so forth. You get the idea. All of those trading very, very nicely. The Chinese names, again, after that 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, that's exactly the process we've been involved in. We continue to see that as well with NetEase and PDD and JD and all those kinds of names. Throw in McDonald's. Dow getting hit. Pool getting hit. AstraZeneca getting hit, Biogen getting hit. We look at Procter & Gamble and some of those other names within that space there with Coca-Cola and Walmart, those kinds of names, sometimes often looked upon as names to go for a little bit of protection. They were in negative territory as well today. So we've got a little bit of unusual for you, and then I will be on the 5 o'clock show tonight. But before that, I'm going to be talking with our guys. We got the Rebel Pit, man. I'm going to get together with these guys right at the market close. You just got to sign up and you can be a part of that. And if you can't make it, if you've signed up, they're going to be able to get that out to you as well. But it's mastering downside. It's mastering what's going on with the momentum and all the rest of that. The Rebel Pit guys, we got Ryan, we got Wayne, we got Greg. We've got the best team in, I think, anywhere. And these guys do an absolutely magnificent job. And I appreciate all the love that the guys on Twitter give these guys as well, because they do a great job and they work their tails off to try to give people the best opportunities to have success. So that'll be something that we will be hitting right at the close. I got 2 unusuals, and then I'm going to be out of here. I'll be with those guys for a few moments, probably the first 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. Then I've got to go over. I've got fast money tonight as well. So that should be a lot of fun. Brian Sullivan's going to be hosting that. So first off, clean energy, ICLM. Now this is an ETF trading about 1840. A buyer of 5,000 of the July 19 calls, so they're just out of the money calls. They were going for about 58 cents. Interesting part about that 5,000, it was all in one print. So that gives you an idea. It's a sizable trader stepping in and just putting on a trade for this, which oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes we see the clean energy names start to move around. This is something we were talking about just the other day, moving around with the price of obviously the others, the crude and some of the rest that are moving to the upside, drags clean energy along with it. So that's something to keep an eye on. I got another one that's a little bit puzzling, and so I just caution it first because we were seeing a lot of put activity yesterday in some of those ARK names. Well, today, right out of the gate, we've got ARK Innovation, the ARKK, and we've got some call buying. So a little bit of, getting signals going in both ways, but I'm just mentioning it because we did see it. We did see some interesting information on that. I had some people contacting me through social media as well, talking about this. So what did we see? 36.45 is where this ETF was trading. We had a buyer of 5,000 of the June 24 calls, or excuse me, 42 calls. They expire on the 24th. We also had a buyer of 4,000 of the June 24th, the 44 strike calls. So the 42 calls, those are going for about 65 cents. The 44 calls were going for about 35 cents. Bought 5,000 of the first one, 4,000 of the second one. So it's interesting to see that. But as I say, I just want to caution, we did see quite a bit of put buying just yesterday in the ARK as well. So tough to always read that type of thing. Just so you know, I've had some positions on there many times. I've more often been in the put side of this trade than the call side, just because the direction and the power and what we've seen from a momentum perspective has been pushing to the downside. So just keep that as a reminder as well. Just wanted to point that out. But still seeing a lot of energy activity, still seeing a lot going on in the oils patch. There's no doubt about that. It should be a very interesting day. Let's see how it plays out as we look forward to the Fed. Folks, have a great day of trading.